Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much for stopping by. It has been a while, man. Let me tell you, I have not been playing games. I've been practicing my guitar. You can see it in the background. And I really appreciate, okay, let me start by saying this. I really appreciate the support. Okay. We got all the new members that we have from today, from yesterday, 13 days ago. People still supporting the channel. I have not been playing games, man. I have been practicing my guitar, but I will never stop uh, this channel. I will never stop. There's no going back. Okay, so I'll find a way, and we'll keep the content going. So I wanna say thank you very much. We have long time people here supporting the channel. 15 month GHHV. 15 months. Mr. Nieni. 15 month Emilio Galicio. We have here Ben Hoodred. He was the one who got the 5090 for me. I paid for it, but he got it when it was impossible to get it. Supporting the channel for 15 months. Chris Saucy, 13 month. Thank you very much, man. We have Ensure Frames supporting the channel at the highest level for 6 months. Thank you very much, man. We have Sam, Bot Logic, Crown to the Crown to the Underground. Supporting the channel for 3 months. Daystra, 5 months. Anointed Phoenix. We have some hard names here. Sad comes. Thank you very much. Leonardo Romero. We have Milagres Da. Supporting the channel big time at the highest level for 3 months. What's up, techies? Thank you very much. Alpha Secas. GTX. No, there's a talking about GTA. There's a GTA trailer coming soon. Virtual Cinema Channel. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. And SDME. Thank you very much. Just joined today. So what can I do for you, man? What can I do for you? I really appreciate the support. What can I do for you? What can I do for all the members? For all the people supporting the channel? What would you like to see? The thing is, man, if I don't play games, I don't have ideas. To be honest, I don't know what to talk about if I'm not a gamer. I don't know how other people can do it. The majority of YouTubers, they don't play any games. But I don't know how they can do it. I would have no ideas if I don't play anything. So what we're gonna do today is actually I'm gonna get up to date with what's going on in the tech world, because I have been inside my cave just practicing the guitar, but I'm gonna check out this new technology. It's fresh. Okay, we have these new LG RGB OLEDs. So I'm gonna check out this review from HD TV Test, and then I'm gonna check out the review from Monitors Unbox to see, what we think about that. I think it's very interesting. I'm interested for sure to see if it is any good. Of course, it's gonna be good, but the question is, is it better than QDOLED? Okay, that's the question. It's gonna be good, of course. It's an OLED. An OLED is gonna be good. Perfect blacks, perfect contrast. Now with RGB, we should have better color. Okay, less problems, less defects. But is it better than QDOLED? I don't know. Let's check out that video. And yeah, before we go there, let me get up to speed with the chat. Thank you very much for stopping by. Trini Yoda. Go live now. I was already proven HDTV test review that 4-stack primary RGB tandem WOLED with RGB stripe has less color brightness and volume than QD OLED. Yes, that is expected because it is still using the color filters. So there's always some saturation loss. It's not gonna be exactly as colorful as QD OLED, but see, sometimes it is about finding the best compromise. It might not be as colorful as QD OLED, but is it colorful enough? And you're gonna have a much better screen coating. Okay, that black glossy coating is so much better. So basically, you're trading off that terrible magenta, black level rays thing for the best coating. Although I have not seen in person yet the latest QD OLED panels that are more black. They still have the black level rays, but they look more black. They don't look as magenta. And that could be, it's not going to be better than this when it comes to the coating. It's not going to be better than this new LG RGB glossy black monitor when it comes to the way the screen looks when it's off, but it might be close, and then you have much better color. So that's my question right now. I have to see it in person though. But let's see what we can find out from the videos. How's it going, Simon? Good to see you back. Yeah, I'm still playing the guitar. I mean, I have been live streaming every day, really. If you want to see me play the guitar every day, I've been doing it on my guitar channel. Let's see if I have it over here. No, this is my guitar channel is this one, aerial guitar. So yeah, I have been really going live every single day, and I've been doing it not, mostly to help me, concentrate, because when I'm live streaming and practicing the guitar, I am more concentrated. If I'm not live streaming, I'm like listening to a podcast or something, like a UFC fight. And then I'm practicing the guitar with a sporting event. It's not the same. So I'm really enjoying practicing the guitar live. And that's also good for me for my development, because think about it this way: what I do is all about live performance. That's the only thing that really matters. Say, I can record a video after I have something ready, but you can repeat it again and again until you get that best video. Take number 30. Eh, that doesn't have the same value. What I'm doing is classical music, and classical guitar is all about live performance. You have one chance. It doesn't matter if you're not feeling the best. Nothing matters. It's like consistency. You have to be rock solid. You need to have a very, very strong emotional control and stamina to deal with the nervousness and all of that. So that's really good for me, going live every day playing the guitar. That's definitely gonna help me. So I have been doing that every day, just and it has been working well. My guitar channel is growing. So far it keeps growing. We have over 3,100 subscribers. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Actually, let me show you. Let me show you my guitar channel. And we're making money too. We're making money over there too. Look at this. Let me get myself out of the way here a little bit. You can check out look at my guitar channel. We are making money. We have 3,163 subscribers. Look at that. We're making $100 a month. That's amazing. Just playing the guitar. That's the best money in the world. Well, not better than gaming, right? So gaming and making money, that's like the best. But yeah, I mean, we're getting 20,000 views almost. Look at that. Watch time hours, 1.5 thousand hours of watch time. That's incredible, man. Really, really incredible. But it is a different it's a different audience because it's a lot harder to get engagement. Like people watch the videos. Like for example, there's a video that might have 1,000 views, but no comment or one comment. See, with this channel, usually when I had a video with 1,000 views, we would have like, I don't know, 30 comments, 60 comments, 100. So that is the most important thing, the comments, because the comments, they give you ideas for new videos. The engagement helps the algorithm with YouTube to recommend the video more and all of that. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'll keep doing it because guitar is my big long-term goal for my personal development. So yeah, let's see how it goes. So RGB OLED is yet another OLED technology. No, it's really the same. It's basically exactly the same LG tandem W OLED technology, but they just removed the white subpixel. But the nature of the technology is exactly the same. So basically, we're gonna watch the reviews, but what I know right now and my idea is it should be exactly the same performance, but by removing the white subpixel, you're basically removing the peak brightness of the whites. And I think that is actually a good thing. You're going to lose HDR impact for sure. But the thing is, monitors don't have HDR impact so far. OLED monitors suck when it comes to HDR impact. So, I mean, you're gonna lose that, peak brightness maybe on a decent window size, but it just doesn't matter. It's better to just get rid of it. You have much better text clarity, and the colors should look better too. It should look more correct. So it's basically, if you look at a chart comparing this RGB OLED with the W OLED, when you look at the brightness of the colors, it should be the same. That same brightness for the colors. The only difference in brightness is the whites because of that white subpixel. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. Now, I don't believe LG is gonna remove the white subpixel on the TVs, but I would like them to do that. Definitely. So let's see if they actually go for it. How's it going, John Smith? You got your 45-inch 5K. 5K. 2K OLED monitor. I like it, very nice so far. I calibrated the display too. Nice colors. Not tandem, but I like it. Still good purchase for $900 on deal. I like it, man. 5K, 2K. I like ultra wide. I think it's a great idea. And that's a lot of pixels, man. That's a lot of pixels. That's gonna look razor sharp. How big is it? Is it like 40 or 45? What you're saying, 45? So yeah, white subpixel is just messing the color. So I like that. It only beats QDOLED with black levels in a bright room. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I think for the majority of the people, I think this could be a better option than QDOLED. But the thing is, QDOLED improved a lot on the monitors with this new black coating or treatment, whatever they did. We need that on the TVs. So basically, the monitors right now, they are ahead of the TVs. That's one of the things that has me on the fence, because I'm thinking, man, if next generation of TVs come out, they are 240 hertz, finally, 4K 240 hertz, 55, 65, 77. And on top of that, they implement this new coating that we have on the monitors today. Oh man, I'm not gonna feel good about buying the the S95F. No, not gonna feel good about it, man. Let me tell you, because that's gonna be so much better. So much better. So I am still looking at the price. The S95F 65 inch, S95F 65 inch, still too expensive. Over over $3,000 still. But I'm still looking at the price, and I will, strongly, like, if it goes down to $1,500 on Black Friday, I am buying it. I don't care, I'm buying it. But even if I get it for that price, if the next generation TVs are 240 with that black coating, oh my god. No one Connect box, black, glossy, hopefully, fingers crossed, black and glossy. Well, Samsung is probably gonna ruin it anyway. But black, glossy 240, man, that's gonna be such an, I'm not gonna say end game, but it's gonna be a sweet spot. With 240, I mean, you cannot get a lot better than that with the games today. I mean, we have this new Gears of War that's a joke, running like garbage. I mean, let me make myself bigger here. We're not watching the video yet. So we have this new Gears of War running like garbage. So yeah, not very. So Unreal Engine, it just keeps doing it. But hopefully, that doesn't become a trend. I think GTA 6 is gonna run great, and we still have to wait. But let me tell you, I have said so many times, I'm not buying a PS5 to play GTA 6. But at the end of this month, there's a trailer coming on Netflix, and I think it's gonna be mind blowing. It's gonna have a lot of PC gamers looking at the PS5 Pro, and I think the PS5 Pro is gonna sell out. After that trailer, I think it's just gonna sell out. People are gonna go crazy and go and buy PS5 Pro because it's hard to see. The thing is, for me, I have patience. I can wait. Can wait a year and a half. But that's not the problem. The problem is you have to stay out of the internet. All the channels that I watch, they are going to pump GTA 6 content left and right. So how can I stay out of the internet? I'm a YouTuber. Okay. How can I stay out? I would have to just, not use YouTube for a year. And that's impossible. So to not get spoilers, it's just not gonna be possible. That's the thing. Because I can wait, but I don't want to spoil the game. And that is the game. See, that's the game. You spend the life savings, which, by the way, man, the 5090s are like $5,000. Wow, it just keeps going up. That is crazy. I thought, man, I paid $3,000. I thought, a year later, I'm gonna look at my $3,000 and be like, oh my god, I should have waited. But no, it's just getting worse. It's getting more expensive every day. So let's see what happens. And unfortunately, OLED is dead, it seems. Like HDTV test, I think he said it was dead. So I watched this video when I was driving, so I couldn't pay attention to it very much. But I think he said this. They are not doing it. A Japanese coalition company called OLED used to make printed RGB, but they never mass produced it, and they went bankrupt. Oh, that's why. So TCL CSOT then bought all their IP. Man, but TCL, see, here's the thing I don't understand. TCL announced 3 years ago, they announced two 8K inkjet printed RGB monitors. Big. One of them was big. So it was like 40. It was more than 40 inches. I forgot exactly the 41. What was that? But it was 8K, and it was curved like a dome. It was curved to the sides and curved up and down like this from the top and the bottom. So it was gonna be glassless, 3D. Perfect blacks, RGB OLED, 8K. That's gonna be amazing. Unfortunately, like 120 hertz only. But the thing is, for 3D, you need 8K because you're gonna lose cutting the resolution in half basically. Man, I was looking at that monitor and be like, yeah, I need to have that. And yeah, we've never, it never, came out. Like it didn't happen. Like the project got canceled or something. So I don't know. Yeah, and man, if QDOLED wasn't in Samsung's hand, you're so right. Samsung is just terrible, man. They ruin everything. They have the best technology available and they just keep ruining it. Samsung is just the worst. I wish. I mean, LG is not perfect, but I wish LG had QDOLED, man. I wish it was the other way around. LG with a QDOLED and Samsung with a WRGB. No, I don't have any family in Cuba, so hopefully, luckily, we are all here enjoying the American dream. Okay, what a life! With tomorrow, see if we go to the beach, to the beach. So we're doing great, man. We are very, very, very happy here, man. Very happy. Yeah, long time no see. I have been practicing my guitar, man. Like, look, let me see if you can understand this. Think about it this way. Look, I'm gonna show you some of my repertoire. So we have these. So let me explain this so you have this, you have an idea of what's going on. So I'm gonna put my papers together here for a moment so you can see the girth. Look, this is the repertoire that I want to get ready. So look at the thickness of these papers. Okay. Now, this is compressed. Okay, I have this clip here, so it is compressed. So each one of these pages takes so much time, effort, talent, intelligence, commitment. Like sometimes I spend in one page 2 hours. Look at this. 2 hours in a day. I'm saying on my practice session, sometimes it's like one page. Look at how many pages we have here. This is more than 2 hours, probably 4 hours of music. Maybe 2, 3, I don't know for sure. But this is the hardest thing. So my repertoire is basically the hardest things to play on the guitar. Why? Well, because I can. Okay, and because that's my that's my motivation to play the hardest thing. You're like, So this is a lot, man. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's just extremely demanding. So that's why I haven't been playing games or doing anything else, and just focus on trying to learn it. And then after you learn it, you have to practice. So think about it this way. if I want to have 2 hours ready, so I can do I can do a concert and play for 1 hour, 2 hours. Let's say 1 hour. I'll put it easier. 1 hour. If I practice it slow, and I have to, I have to practice slow to learn it and to coordinate and all of that. Well, if you practice that a quarter speed, you spend 4 hours just to pass it one time, and you need to do it again and again and again. It's just crazy, man. You have no idea how difficult this thing is. But that's what that's that's why I do it. That's what I chose to do. So that's why we've been out for a while. Yeah, I have tried lossless scaling. You know what? The dual GPU thing, I do have video on the CPU, but I'm not sure if it's good enough to try that onboard, that video processing of the CPU to use that for the generated frames. I have not tried that, but I think it should be possible. The thing is, I wanted to try the dual GPU with my 3080 and the 5090, but the case, I would have to modify the case because it fits, but I had to basically, cut a hole on the case, and I didn't want to do that. Didn't want to ruin it. So okay, maybe I buy an extender cable, PCI Express extender, and all of that. But I don't know, man. It's also a risk because the 5090 is blowing up left and right. It's $5,000 right now, and a second GPU is not gonna make. It's not gonna help. You have a 3080 Ti and an RX 6600 XT. And yeah, AMD is better for that, I heard. But look at that, you're combining AMD and Nvidia for that. It works, and the input lag is good, and the frame pacing smoothness is very good. Yeah, I think that is that better than the Nvidia? Well, the thing is, you don't have Nvidia frame generation on the 3080. So that's really the comparison. Would that be better than just the Nvidia frame generation? And by the way, there's a new. We're supposed to be getting a new driver with ray reconstruction with the latest DLSS. Did that happen already? And I haven't I haven't turned on my gaming PC in a while. But I want to definitely check that out and make a video about it. So let me know if that happened already or if it's happening next month. So you have the 5800X3D too. I have that CPU on this PC. How's it going, Chris Sussy? If LG was the one making QDOLEDs, we would have a glossy for sure. It would be glossy. I mean, although we have to say, I mean, LG, for some reason, they love to put a matte finish on the monitors. But it looks like, at least on the monitors, they are getting the message. Because the target audience is gamers, and gamers are more into, documenting themselves to know what's better, and they demand, hey, we don't like this, and then these companies don't care. See, really, these companies will just give you whatever sells. So I think maybe for the monitors there is a shift. We're going away from that matte finish, but on the TV, it's just the matte finish is here to stay, and they're just doubling down. But I agree with that. If LG was, I mean, I wish LG, but did business with Samsung. They give Samsung their LG RGB OLED, so why not buy the QDOLEDs? I don't see why not. We would have a glossy 2500 nits. black trim TV with 4 HDMI ports, for sure, instead of the disappointing Samsung gave us with the S95H. Well, really, the S95H is awesome. The thing is the coating, but I think it should be an incredible TV. And let me tell you, man, after I did the live stream um, with, I mean, I forgot his name, that he removed the matte finish from the S95F. Man, I'm not excited about doing that because if if the same thing happens to me, but let me tell you, if I buy the S95F, I'm soaking it in water with, not soaking it in water, like using the wet paper towel method. If it doesn't peel right off, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm just taking it back because I don't want a glossy, I don't want a matte finish TV. Um, so I would definitely just turn it back. So I think that's a safe bet. Buy the TV, use the wet paper towel method. If it doesn't peel right off, send it back. That's what I would do. And it would be very, very unfortunate. Thank you very much, Manuel, for your support. I don't have. Hey, let me see. Let me see one thing because I'm not looking at the YouTube chat. I'm looking at OBS. Give me a second here. Let me check out the live stream video. We're gonna check out the HD TV test video. Give me a second here. Let me. What is that you sent? Floating heart for 10 joules. Oh, is that like an emoji that is that a way of super chat that gives you an emoji and it's a form of payment? I don't understand how that works, but in any case, man, I appreciate you. What type of cloth should I use to clean an LG OLED TV? I don't think you have to be that careful, but what they recommend is microfiber cloth. With QDOLED, my recommendation is don't even touch the screen. Buy an air. I bought a gun that is air. It's air pressure and it's vacuum at the same time. It's vacuum from the other side. So what I do is I dust up the TV with the air, compress air to remove the dust. Very important because if you start using the microfiber with all the dust, you're going to scratch the screen. You're gonna scratch the screen. So remove the dust first, and then look at the screen in detail. Okay, put the nose on it. It's off, right? So make sure it's off. Then look at it through the light and see where are the spots that need to be cleaned. And then with a wet microfiber, just touch there. It's not like, say, I'm cleaning my QDOLED TV with a microfiber, no problem. I would not recommend you do that. You're gonna scratch the screen. I'm telling you. I go like right here, right here, and right here. Very, very detailed cleaning. Okay, that's the definition of detailing. So that's what I recommend. I don't risk it. QDOLED is too fragile. No idea. I just found it. Okay, well, well, thank you. Ariel, currently LG G6 have a great discount in my region. Do you recommend me to upgrade from my S90D or wait for LG G7? Samsung doesn't. It's not available in your region. So if Samsung is not available in your region, the G6, when it comes to color, should be the same, very similar color brightness to your S90D QD OLED. It's like 1,000 nits of color, 1,100 nits of color. D Nice told me that. So basically, when it comes to the colorfulness, it's about the same, but then you have the peak brightness for the whites, so you're gonna have a better HDR impact. So it will be an upgrade, um, but the thing is the screen uniformity, the issues that the dithering that might look. I don't know how bad is that right now. I haven't seen it in a dark room with the lights off and a test pattern to see if I'm gonna like that or not, if I can live with that. Um, but the thing is, it's not a 165 hertz is an upgrade. Um, but I don't know. I don't feel very good about that. I don't. So I would say if you get a bigger size, then definitely you're getting an upgrade. But if you're getting the same size, I'm not feeling good about it. Um, so yeah, scent party hat. Going crazy with the emoji stuff. But thank you, man. What's your opinion on the Samsung G9 OLED 49-inch ultra wide? I like ultra wide. I think the problem is the games. See, when you're going ultra wide, think about if you have clear a game that you're gonna play, that's the good one, and it is good ultra wide, then go for it. Because the thing is, the displays are amazing. I love the format. I think I really like ultra wide. But then, if all the games look, like they are stretched at the edges, then it's like, man, you have like great hardware that is not being utilized correctly. It's like, think about it this way. Let's say you buy a TV that is capable of 3D, but the game has to support that specific 3D, and so then you cannot you cannot even use it. So it's one of those things. If the game support is what I would consider the most, if you're looking at ultra wide, because um I don't think it's there. There are some games that look very good, but some of them it's just stretching. I mean, there are some games that out of the box, 16 by 9, they look weird. They look like they are stretched. Especially if you play competitive. I think people get used to that. Like I was playing the finals, and right away it just looks all stretched, and I'm like, okay, if this gonna look messed up anyway, I'm gonna max out the FOB because I just want to have more visibility, and you get used to it. But I think it's just a shame. um so yeah, you get 200 for free. Always spend it in my favorite YouTuber. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, well, thank you very much, man. I see what you're saying. So you're expanding it, the I see. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Finally got a Pioneer Plasma just for cartoons and anime at 62 hertz. It feels so nice. I love my Pioneer Plasma, man. The thing is, the calibration of that TV is so bad. It is so messed up. It's unbelievably bad. The colors look wrong. The whites, so basically the gamma curve at the high end is so bad that it's like clipping. It's not clipping, it's just washed out, so the bright things are washed out. It is super colorful, but you have a bright day scene, and it's not bright because I mean it's a plasma. It doesn't have that brightness punch, but it looks like it's clipping. It's the calibration is just a mess. Like, if I ever get into the calibration equipment and I learn how to do it, I would definitely calibrate that plasma. That plasma needs to be calibrated. Um, Other than that, I really I love the the picture quality. I know the potential is there, but that TV needs to be calibrated. Um, and I don't know how to do it. I don't have the equipment to do it. But it's bad. And I know it is so bad because I'm used to these QDOLED TVs are actually not terrible. The calibration is not terrible in comparison with what we had in the past, sometimes with other TVs. Um, shader beam, I'm gonna tell you what happened. So far, I have not tried it again. I don't have an update. But the bottleneck, the problem for shader beam was Microsoft. So the Blurbusters chief reached out to me. He sent me an email and he told me, I'm going to make an article on the website that I want you to promote, to make a video about it, because we need the signatures, we need the people's support to do a petition for Microsoft to give us a low level access that we need for shader beam to have low input lag and much better quality. Because what they were doing so far, and the reason why the input lag was so bad, is because they were basically taking screenshots of every frame, and that takes time. That's the latency. That's why the latency was so high. So they had no choice because they don't have the low level access that they needed. So basically, with this article and this petition for Microsoft, um, they were hoping that Microsoft would accept, and then they would have what they need to make it a lot better. But I don't know what that was a long time ago. That was like, I don't know, 5 months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago or more. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe the article was done and he didn't reach out to me again. I have not checked the app. And the reason why is like, okay, even if the quality improves, the input lag is so high, it's not usable at all. So that's where I am right now with that. But I might send him an email or maybe check. I mean, let's do this. Let's check out Blurbusters right now. Let's see. Bloodbusters. Let's see if there's an article about that. So okay, let's see. We have, let me make myself smaller here, because maybe we can figure this out now. And if I see anything, then I can send him an email. So this is Blurbusters. Let's see, where is the latest article? Research. Announcing test UFO native applications and UFO display tester. Open source display initiative. Refresh cycle shaders. We publish an open source specification for a flexible refresh cycle shader processing system that can plug in to applications, drivers. This doesn't seem to be that. But that's this is the most recent. No, this is from January. This is from May. So this is not it. This is not it. So I guess that's on ice for some reason. 5,000 hertz on Windows 11 speed limit. Look at this. Monitors can now report refresh rates higher than 1,000 hertz. Wow. 5,000 hertz. Now, do we need 5,000 hertz? Yes, absolutely. Why? Because if you want to have, I'm going to explain you very clearly, very clearly. You open the UFO test. Let's just get into this. This is very important. We actually need 5,000 hertz. This is the sweet spot. Okay? We need 5,000 frames per second. Yes. That's right. In Unreal Engine 5, absolutely. Gears of War, the new one, we need that. 5000 FPS. I'm gonna explain you why very easily. Very easy to understand. Okay. This is actually very easy to understand. So if you have a 4K display and you want to be able to set the speed of your UFO test, let me do this real quick. Let me stop this so you don't get a headache. Let's pause this for a moment. Okay, let me fix this. So it'll be just one, right? So I'm gonna explain you this very clearly. Okay. If you want to have an object moving at 3840 pixels per second, okay? Now, why is that too fast? Well, actually not. That is a reasonable speed. So if you want to be able to have that fast motion in a 4K display, that's 1 second. So this speed, 3840 pixels per second. In a 4K display, how many pixels do we have horizontally? We have 3840 pixels, right? So you're gonna take 1 second to go from left to right. That's reasonable. I mean, that is a speed that is easy to eye track. So most people, I bet most people can eye track an object moving left to right on their display that takes 1 second to go from left to right. So if you want to have 1 pixel of motion blur at that speed in your 4K display, then you need 4000 hertz. Okay. So maybe, we don't need 5000, maybe 4000 would be good enough. But if you keep increasing the speed, for example, if you set it to 5760, then you need 5000 hertz to get close to that. So you get the idea. It is totally necessary. Totally necessary. We need that. So yeah, so far it seems like that's on ice. So I can maybe reach out to the chief and ask him, hey, what happened with that petition? What's going on with shader glass, to see if there's any progress on it, basically. But they're gonna make any Dolby Vision 2 content. So I think Dolby Vision 2 will down support Dolby Vision 1, so no need to worry about the. See, I think the Dolby Vision 2 is actually very important for movie content, because the biggest problem with HDR right now when it comes to having a high-end TV to enjoy movie content is that the content sucks. Okay, so it's like you spend $5,000 and your super huge, amazing, brand new HDR TV to watch what? Netflix? Yeah, 600 nits, and it kind of washed out, dim HDR. So you need something. You need a dynamic HDR remastering feature. You need something. So basically, Dolby Vision 2 is aiming to just juice up, conservatively graded HDR. Now, for gaming, we don't need that. On gaming on the PC, you can just get the brightness you need, and you can use Reno DX and get perfect HDR. So it's completely irrelevant for PC gaming. But I think Dolby Vision 2 for movies is kind of a big deal. It is. It's really the only way you're gonna be able to take advantage of a high end, HDR TV for content. Well, the thing is, every time you need any kind of support from either the TV or the content or something, it's a problem. So you need solutions that just work for everything. Otherwise, it's not relevant. Um, which do you see? I have always used the game ready drivers. The studio drivers are supposed to be more stable and older, maybe. Um, but I have not tried the studio drivers. I've seen some videos, but the difference is so small that you don't know if it's, you know, for one thing or another. So I don't have a solid answer for you, but I have always tried the game ready drivers because I'm more interested on trying that new, ray reconstruction update with the latest DLSS transformer model than to have a more stable drivers that doesn't stutter and all of that. Um, so yeah, that's what I know so far. So let's check out the HDTV test video about this new RGB OLED from LG to see, if it's any good. If is it better than QDOLED? I don't think so, but I think it could be a very good compromise. Reno devs and Blurbusters dev needs to come up with a Reno DX Auto implementation. It's being worked on. They are working on first. They are working on making it a lot easier to do the mods to the point where you might have an app or a system that could allow you to do the mod on any game without having too much expertise. So they are working on AI to do that basically. So I think eventually it's gonna happen. You're just gonna be able to do that. I think the biggest complication is that when the new games come out using new engines or new features, sometimes what needs to be updated is the decompilers. Because I remember when I did that live stream with Musa and we set up the environment, I had everything ready. I knew how to at least start. That was my problem. I tried to start in some of the games and then the decompiler didn't work. So basically, the decompiler is necessary to be able to read the shaders. So you have basically what Reno DX does is it intercepts the shaders that are being used at that moment in time on the game, and then those shaders you can dump them, so you can have the file, but then that is not readable. That's like a bunch of symbols and things you cannot read. So you need to decompile the shaders after you intercept the shaders on the game and you dump them, you save them on a folder. You have them now, they need to be decompiled. So decompiling is like translating it to a language that you can read, and that language is HLSL. So now that you have it in a language that you can read, then you can modify it. And then using RenoDX, you inject the shaders back into the game. So basically, those shaders that they are being changed. So basically, the bad HDR implementation never even hits the GPU. So you're intercepting it, you're modifying it, and right away it's just beautiful HDR. So I think that's the biggest challenge in making something automatic, that even if you had the system where once you have those shaders identified, intercepted, and saved, and you had the the program or the system to modify them so you get a good HDR. But the problem is that that process of maybe decompiling it. But I'm just speculating. I'm not sure, but that's what I believe based on my understanding. But it's gonna happen at some point. It's gonna happen, and maybe it's just something that needs to be updated. Like everything. New game comes out, you need an update. But the reality right now is that we have so many great people working on it that any major game that comes out, you get a Reno DX mod almost immediately. It's unbelievable. And now they are not only fixing HDR. You can check out the mod for Crimson Desert. They are improving the shadows, reducing popping, removing chromatic aberration and film grain, improving the ray tracing quality, the shading, everything, the lighting. So Reno DX is leveling up big time, and I think that if these companies don't do something to prevent it from working, I think it might be uh, at some point it's gonna be huge. It's just gonna take over uh, the modding community. I think if it hasn't already. So let's check out the HDTV test video, and then um, we'll check out the comments. Go watch House of Dragons. It's everything wrong with with HDR on TVs these days. Blurry, chromatic aberration. Well, one thing, let me tell you, one thing I don't believe we can ever get rid of it uh, is that chromatic aberration is everywhere. But sometimes it's so strong. I mean, even for movie standards, sometimes that chromatic aberration is like exaggerated. Uh, make basically making it worse than it should. Um, Everyone is out of focus, and that's the thing. What's the point of 4K if half of the screen it's a blurry mess? I mean, just save the space at that point. Just if you remove chromatic aberration from some of these movies, a 1080p version could look better than a 4K version, just because I mean most of the screen would at least be visible. The detail will be there. Uh, so yeah, let's check out this video um, from HDTV test, and let's see what's up with that. Let me open these first to get the ads out of the way, and then we will. Okay, we got it here. So let's check this. Here we go. HDTV test.
WOLED display technology has relied on a dedicated white subpixel. This new ASUS ROG Swift PG32UCWM is the first 31.5-inch WOLED monitor on the market to get rid of the white subpixel in favor of an RGB striped subpixel layout. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, it is still called a WOLED despite the absence of a white subpixel. I will explain why in just a moment. The first and most important benefit of the RGB stripe pixel structure is undoubtedly its text clarity. Since the text rendering of most desktop operating systems is optimized for a vertically arranged red, green, and blue subpixel configuration, in that order, compared with the latest generation QDOLED panel, which has also moved to an RGB stripe layout, the difference in size between the red and blue subpixels is not as pronounced, contributing to arguably the cleanest and sharpest text rendition I've seen on an OLED monitor since the JOLED panel.
Now, one thing I'm gonna say, I have a 1440p QD monitor. Text clarity is not a problem. See, that's the list of my concerns, but it's nice, and it's one of those things. You don't see it as a problem until you have something better side by side. And really, when we are choosing which monitor or which TV to buy, and then we are choosing from the best of the best, we're splitting hairs. So that's definitely a consideration. But for me, I would not say if I have a 1440p QD OLED. Yeah, it's 27-inch, so it's a smaller size. So that definitely helps to have a better text clarity. But I think um and the QD OLED monitors, they do have a different um they have improved the subpixels layout to have a better text clarity. Um, but the thing is, even on the TV, if I am using full RGB, 4K full RGB, it's not a problem. Now, if I go outside of PC mode, on the Samsung TV, you have this, Game Motion Plus, um, the motion interpolation for gaming. You cannot use it on PC mode with full RGB. So when you go to, I mean, even if you have set the full, you can set full RGB on the NVIDIA control panel, but still, you see the difference. So basically, I do see a lot worse text clarity. You see more the color fringing on game mode, on console mode on the Samsung TVs. But on the games, you don't see it. And the thing is, I don't use my windows like this, white, like this. So if you have a white background and a black text, that's more of a problem. So I don't see the problem that much because I have a completely black background. I don't see any reason to ever have this white background. So when you use a black background with yellow text or something like that, it's different, and so then it's no longer an issue. So yeah, but I can see that a lot of people being happy about the text clarity being a little bit better.
which has been discontinued for a good few years now, even at 100% scaling. If you go
Okay,
really close up
let's hear that again. He just said that inkjet printed OLED has been discontinued for a few years
now, even at 100%, the cleanest and sharpest text rendition I've seen on an OLED monitor since the JOLED panel, which has been discontinued for a good few years now, even at 100% scaling. If you go really close up to the screen, look from an angle, and move your head around like you're at a rave party in Ibiza, you might still spot the faintest hint of fringing caused by LG Display's dithering algorithm. But from any normal viewing distance you would actually use a monitor, it's essentially a total non-issue. Before we move on, let's quickly answer the obvious question. Why is it still called WOLED if there's no white subpixel anymore? Well, the W in WOLED actually refers to the white emitting OLED stack itself, rather than the presence of a dedicated white subpixel. The OLED material still emits broadband white light, which then passes through color filters to form the red, green, and blue subpixels. What has changed is that the dedicated white subpixel has simply been removed from the pixel structure, giving us this new RGB stripe layout. Now,
So basically, what that means is that the color saturation is not going to be as good as QDOLED. So color saturation is not going to be worse. It's gonna look better because if you don't have that white subpixel pushing more brightness, when you have that brightness of the white subpixel, then the colors get diluted a little bit. But if you just look at a full screen 10,000 nits yellow test pattern or something like that, that's not gonna be any better. So it's still a WOLED. So we still have the color filter. So it's not like suddenly this is a RGB QDOLED like, but with a better screen coating. It's not like that.
removing the white subpixel inevitably comes with a trade-off. Without the additional white element helping to boost luminance, HDR brightness was always going to take a hit, and so it proved with our measurements. Across all available HDR picture presets out of the box, HDR peak brightness measured around 440 nits on a 10% window at D65 white point, and close to 240 nits full fill, slightly less than
I mean, that's like going back to, see, at the very beginning, the QD OLED monitors, this was like 200, 250. So it's like going back to the beginning of the OLED monitors, basically. Um, I think it's a good step in the right direction, basically. Um, the monitors are not that much brighter anyway. So I like it. I am more interested on this, way more interested on this monitor than any RGB. Like I have no interest in those at all. Zero. I will get QDOLED all day. But this one, let's see.
And the 250 nits required for Visa's Display HDR True Black 400 certification, suggesting that our review sample may have landed towards the dimmer end of normal unit-to-unit variation. That said, when watching real-world HDR content, the PG32UCWM frequently looked perceptually as bright, if not brighter, than conventional WOLED monitors equipped with a wide subpixel. The reason is that without wide subpixel dilution, saturated colors retain much more of their luminance, producing what's known as the Helmholtz-Kohlrausch effect, where more saturated colors appear perceptually brighter than less saturated colors at the same measured luminance. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing Helmholtz-Kohlrausch correctly. Sometimes I don't really know what I'm doing with my tongue. So let's just call it the HK effect. The practical takeaway is that although the PG32UCWM measures dimmer than previous WOLED monitors, it often doesn't look that way to the human eye. If you switch on the adjustable HDR toggle and increase the brightness setting from the default value of 70 to the maximum of 100 in the gaming.
So I mean, basically, the main reason for the wide subpixel was the burning at the very beginning. That was the biggest, you know, I think it is to reduce the burning. So if that's no longer a problem, just get rid of it.
HDR, Cinema HDR, and Console HDR picture presets, the monitor can hit around 1000 nits on a 2% window. However, PQEOTF tracking becomes significantly overbrightened, leading to raised shadows and midtones that deviate from the creative intent. So we would recommend sticking.
Man, that's bad. Holy crap. That's bad. Look at that EOTF tracking. That's just like. See, I don't care about accuracy, but this is awful. See, look at that gray line in comparison with the reference yellow. That is extremely bad. I mean, they have to figure this out, man. These monitors are so bad when it comes to the accuracy. It's just unbelievable. Because the thing is, I don't care about accuracy, but if it looks too wrong, if it's like completely off, that's like it looks broken, I don't care about perfect accuracy, but I want to see something that looks correct. It's like what I'm saying. My plasma, my Pioneer plasma TV, it's amazing. I really love the look. It has a special look to it, but the accuracy is so bad for SDR. It's terrible. And why I noticed that now is because I'm used to much better now with these QD OLED TVs. So once you see that's the thing. Once you see better accuracy, you get used to it. You get used to a better image. Then if you see something else, it's not. That's why I understand these people who are professional TV calibrators, that they are used to look at the reference monitor and what correct it looks like. Then they see anything else and it's like, oh no, I don't want to see that. It looks disgusting. And for some people, it doesn't matter. They use vivid mode. They don't know better. But yeah, once you see better, you don't want to go back. So I think this might be a big problem. Um, I don't know.
Shadows and midtones that deviate from the creative intent. So we would recommend sticking with the default brightness setting of 70 in these picture presets, or simply use the Display HDR 400 True Black mode. For watching HDR movies, Cinema HDR remains the best choice because its HDR10 tone mapping responds to max MDL or maximum mastering display luminance metadata, allowing for better preservation of bright highlight detail in HDR content graded to 1000 or 4000 nits. The ASUS PG32UCWM also supports player-led or low-latency Dolby Vision once you manually enable it in the user menu.
So now that is an important thing, that the TV is able to, the monitor is able to detect the metadata and change the curve. So look at these options. gaming HDR, cinema HDR, console HDR. I think what they should, you see, when you go over these settings here on the right side, they should give you an explanation of what this does, because people that are not experts, they have no idea. They're gonna be like, okay, gaming HDR, that's what I'm gonna use. So what is that supposed to be? Is that HGIG clipping at 1000 nits? What is that? Gaming HDR, cinema HDR. What does that mean? Does that mean that the monitor is detecting the HDR metadata? If it's 1000 nits, it's gonna be clipping at 1000. If it's 4000, it will be clipping at 4000. They need to explain what this is. See, this is completely irrelevant. Cinema HDR. What does that mean? These companies need to get their act together on these.
For better preservation of bright highlight detail in HDR content graded to 1000 or 4000 nits. The ASUS PG32UCWM also supports player-led or low-latency Dolby Vision once you manually enable it in the user menu. While repeatedly running these HDR test patterns over the course of our testing, one potential benefit of removing the white subpixel quickly became apparent. Let me show you. If we display a peak white HDR window for 10 seconds, then switch to a full-field gray slide, you can see there's essentially no image retention at all, with only the slightest hint of afterglow. We would like to think that removing the dedicated white subpixel has played a significant role in this class-leading resistance to image retention by WOLED standards. That said, ASUS has also equipped the PG32UCWM with a custom heatsink and gallium nitride technology, both of which may have contributed as well.
I mean, you basically have a mature technology at this point that is it has been um, designed or evolved to handle a lot brighter HDR. So if you just lower the brightness, that's why you're not getting image retention. It's just not bright enough. So that's why removing the white subpixel has that benefit. But really, see, there's if you use that same monitor with the white subpixel and you just lower the brightness to the same level, you get the same result. So really, I don't see that as a benefit, because having less brightness is not it's not a benefit. See, it's not that removing the white subpixel is now suddenly making your monitor less prone to burning. Having less brightness, yeah, it make your monitor less prone to burning, but you can just do that. You can just lower the brightness, and so I don't think that's a benefit. Having less brightness is never a benefit.
So we can't say for certain how much of the improvement is down to the new RGB striped subpixel architecture alone. However, not everything improved. Despite the removal of the white subpixel, we were surprised to find that the ASUS PG32UCWM still exhibited some near-black chrominance overshoot artifacts in extremely demanding torture test scenes, such as this moving near-black quantization pattern developed by Stacy Spears of Spears and Mansell fame, not to mention heavily compressed material like this broadcast recording of Game of Thrones. So perhaps the white subpixel isn't entirely responsible for the flashing artifacts we've seen on WOLED panels over the years. Fortunately, we did not observe chrominance overshoot when feeding the monitor a high-quality video signal.
So you see what he just said there? We've been blaming for the longest time the white subpixel for that near black mess, chrominance overshoot and all those defects near black. And now suddenly we have basically the same panel technology without the white subpixel. It still has the issues. So basically, it was not the white subpixel; it was something else. Now, why? What causing the issues? Um, I don't know, the native gradation of the panel. I don't know, the fact that it's not 10 bits across the entire gamma range. Maybe it's a lower bitness when you are in the darkness. Um, when I did the live stream with D Nice, he was explaining me that actually. I don't remember exactly what he said, but from what I remember, it was something like you see these panels are supposed to be 10 bits, but really they are not across the entire range, and that's why you have issues near black. Like he was telling me, Denies was telling me that there are a lot of things that they can do to improve the picture quality that have nothing to do with brighter or more colorful. And that would be a lot more important. Basically, you could get a much better display by eliminating issues that can be eliminated. Um, for example, the near black uniformity issue that can be mitigated with factory calibration. So when you have a panel that has this vertical banding near black and all of that, they have the calibration settings at the factory level to individually uh, calibrate the different zones of the panel. So if they did that, they could reduce or even eliminate that issue. And processing, um, it's not necessarily the processing that people talk about, that is just turning on um, features on the TV to reduce the noise and do some, and this or that. So there are things that they can do to fix all of that. But the thing is, year after year, we get the TVs, they still have the same problems, and they don't fix them because it seems like it doesn't make financial sense for them or something. I don't know.
which any respectable PC should be capable of delivering. While we're on the subject of PCs, let's talk about gaming. Using a Leobotna tester, input lag measured 8.6 milliseconds at 60 frames per second, 4.4 milliseconds at 120 FPS, and a super responsive 2.4 milliseconds at 240 FPS. Beyond reducing input lag, pairing a 240 FPS video signal with the monitor's native 240Hz refresh rate also delivered superb motion clarity free of black smearing artifacts, thanks to OLED's near instantaneous pixel response time.
Now, I wonder. Um, Look, HDTV Test is an expert on many things. He was a TV calibrator. He knows a lot more than me and all of that. But I do understand the motion clarity a little bit better. I think he could he could improve the quality of his reviews if he just reads the Blur Busters law. Because how easy is to say that 240 hertz is 4 milliseconds of persistence, equal to 4 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second. When you put this UFO test, if all that explanation sounds too confusing for the general public, and I understand that, I did not understand that when I started getting into this. But how easy it would be to explain to people by going here to the UFO test, you can change the speed of the UFO test to 240 pixels per second. So you show people at this speed, this monitor allows you to see the UFO test perfectly clear. So this is as fast as you can have an object moving on your screen left to right while still looking perfectly clear. That's easy. Open the UFO test, change the speed to 240 pixels per second. It looks perfectly clear on this monitor. That's it. Higher refresh rate? Well, that allows you to have a faster moving object on the screen, still looking perfectly clear. So at 480 hertz, now you can double the speed. See, that is so clear for everyone. Now you understand, okay, the higher the refresh rate on my OLED, the faster I can have an object moving on the screen and it's still gonna look clear. How fast? Well, exactly depending on your refresh rate, 240 pixels per second. 480 pixels per second. It's that easy. So I think if he just throws that detail on his reviews, it will be so much better. And people can easily understand that, especially gamers. I mean, it's not hard to understand.
The headline refresh rate is 240Hz or even 480Hz in frame rate boost mode. The PG32UCWM had no trouble handling 24, 25, 50, and 60 FPS content, presenting smooth motion without frame skipping or frame rate conversion judder. For gamers whose PCs cannot sustain very high frame rates, ASUS also provides an ELMB black frame insertion or BFI mode to improve the motion clarity of 120 FPS gameplay. However, enabling ELMB disables both HDR and VRR while increasing input lag, so we don't expect many users to take advantage of it.
Now, this is a bad it's bad for reviewers to say that, because it basically discourage these companies from improving their technology. So it's like, okay, it's gonna get dark and the input lag is gonna be higher and probably no one's gonna use it. That's not a good thing for the technology. It would be better to say, hey, ASUS implemented BFI, but it's only doubling the motion clarity. And we have seen better implementations, like, for example, LG C1 G1, where you can almost triple the motion clarity. So that would encourage these companies to make the technology better rather than, oh, no one's gonna use it. So basically, on every review, people either don't mention it at all, and if they mention it, it's like, oh, it's just dark and it flickers, so it's bothersome. I'm not gonna use it. It could be great. It could be the selling point. Even if it doesn't work with VRR, it could still be great. Now, the thing is, these monitors are not bright enough. But I think these companies could allow for more brightness to be released if they implement a good strobing on the monitor. Because if you have a smaller window size, so basically instead of black frame insertion, if you just do it similar to a CRT, and then basically you're doing a rolling scan of each frame. You're doing a rolling scan of the frames that is just scanning a very small percentage of the frame. Let's say 10%, 15%, 20%. In a 10%, this monitor can be a lot brighter, a lot brighter. So even a reasonable 600 nits, that's not a lot to ask. These monitors could do that. So I'm gonna make it very clear. If you do 600 nits in a 10% window and you are strobing, you're scanning the frame on a 10%. So basically what happens is the pixels are drawn left to right, top to bottom. So you have 10% of the frame at the very beginning. So you start drawing the frame. So now you have that 10% of the frame. You go top to bottom, right? So the rest of that is black. So you're just scanning the frame. Each frame, you're scanning it. So what that does is that reduces the frame visibility time. So rather than having the frame for the whole 4 milliseconds on screen, or 8 if it's 120, you could reduce that dramatically. So you can reduce that to 10, 15, 20%. So let's say 10%. That's huge. That's a motion clarity boost that is huge, because motion clarity is directly related with the frame visibility time. So 10% frame visibility time means a 10% persistence reduction. And as you reduce the persistence, you improve the clarity. So you also lose the brightness. So you would go down to 10% of the brightness. So if you have 600 nits what is 10% of 600 nits? 60? No, is it 60? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's 60. So that's not very bright. So we would need to boost the brightness of the monitor to 1,000 nits in the 10% window. That should be possible. That should be possible. So with 1,000 nits, you can do 10% and still get 100 nits. That might not be bright enough for most people. So maybe don't reduce the the persistence to 10%. Maybe do 20%. But then the problem is when you do 20%, then it's harder to get 1,000 nits. So it's a complication. These OLED monitors are not bright enough, but they can do a much better job, man. They can do a much better job. What they are doing is just literally inserting a black frame, and that's just not good. That's not an efficient way of doing BFI. That just lowers, that cuts the brightness in half. And you might think, well, but if you do that technique, you're cutting the brightness even more. Yes, but as you have a smaller window size, you can also have more brightness. So when you just cut the brightness in half out of the baseline, that is worse. So basically, what these companies need to find is the sweet spot where you lower the frame visibility time to the point where the calculation of that brightness on that specific window size, you calculate that persistence reduction and brightness loss as a consequence, and motion clarity. So basically, you want to try to find the best trade-off. And definitely, the best trade-off is not to just do a black frame insertion, cut the brightness in half, and just double the motion clarity. That's not good enough. So I think reviewers like HDTV Test that are very important for the industry, they should stop just being like, oh, here we have an ELMB, no one's gonna use it. It's not good enough. Or it just gets dark and I don't see anyone using it. They should be like, okay, here's a good example. It's actually great. Why don't we have that anymore, or better maybe? I think that would be a much better message, because really, with my YouTube channel, every time I make a video doing a rant or talking about something, really, I am trying to have the small influence that I have to help us to get a better product. See, that's really all I care about. I care about moving the needle. Of course, our channel is too small for that. That's why I wish this much bigger channels, they review the motion clarity features on the new TVs, on the monitors, and they give it more importance. They're like, okay, this could be better because it has been done better in the past. So why don't we have that? Instead of, oh, it's just darker, nobody cares, no one's gonna use it. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. So you just need to match the resolution of your screen with the pixel speed inside UFO test. No, not necessarily. See, the motion clarity is resolution agnostic. So what that means is it doesn't matter the resolution. Now, I explain it with the resolution because it's very easy to understand that if you match the amount of pixels you have horizontally, if the speed is in pixels per second, then the object is gonna move in 1 second from left to right. That's why I matched. So I did it so people can understand how fast it is. Because if you tell someone, oh, you have an object moving on the screen at 3,840 pixels per second, people don't know how fast that is unless they think about it and be like, okay, well, how fast is that? Pixels per second, 3,840 pixels per second. Well, my TV has 3,840 pixels horizontally, so how fast it is is going to be 1 second to go from left to right. So it's going to be 1 second per screen width. So that's easier to understand than the speed. So basically what I did was to change the unit of measurements of speed in a screen width, basically. So, but really doesn't matter the pixels you have on your screen. The motion clarity of 240 hertz will always be for OLEDs, because OLEDs closely follow the blur busters law, so they don't have the gray to gray limitations that LCDs have. So with LCD, you need to then also have good enough responsiveness of your pixels. But we know with OLED we have that near instantaneous response time. So OLEDs are very they closely follow the blur busters law. So they are a great example to explain the blur busters law. So your motion clarity, well, it's not related with the resolution of your display. It's on the OLEDs. It's related with the refresh rate. What changes in your display when it comes to a UFO test is how long it will take for the UFO test to go from left to right. So if you have, for example, a 1080p OLED monitor that is 240 hertz, if you change the speed to 240 pixels per second, how long would it take to go from left to right? Well, you have to divide 1920 divided by 240, and that's how long it's gonna take to go from left to right. But then if you had a 4K, you would have to divide 3840 by 240. So basically, it's just gonna take longer the higher the amount of pixels you have, but really the UFO test is moving at the same speed in pixels per second. So to understand it more clear, you have two monitors side by side. One is 1440p, the other one is 4K. You can do this if you have that. You can open the UFO test, change the speed to be the same in both, and you're gonna notice that on your lower resolution monitor, the UFO test is moving faster. It's moving faster with respect to the screen width. Because of the amount of pixels that you have is slower. Because it's less pixels, then it looks like it's moving faster. But when it comes to the test, it doesn't matter. It's the same speed. It's the same speed, but on a lower resolution display, it looks like it's moving faster than a display that has more pixels. But it is the same speed. So the motion clarity is resolution agnostic. You can have the speed measured in a screen width, in pixels per second, or in any other thing you want. The unit of measurement that you are utilizing to describe the speed doesn't change the fact. It does not gonna change the law. The law is still the same. Same when you do a physics exam or something, and you can have the answer given in kilometers per hour, meters per second, different units of measurements, but it's still the same. It's still the same answer. It doesn't matter. The unit of measurement doesn't really matter. No, and that's not an obvious thing. Like I didn't understand that. I started making videos about it, and then the Blur Busters chief told me, "Look, let me explain it, because you keep making videos about this and you're messing everyone up." So he explained me how this works, and that's when I understood this better. So basically 4K you're driving through mod 10 miles, while 1080p you're driving on the highway 10 miles. No, it's gonna take longer on the screen. It's like, for example, it's the same with the desktop space, right? The more pixels you have, more desktop space you have. So yeah, let's keep going.
Monitor's dual mode can be activated either via an assigned physical hotkey or through the frame rate boost setting. Switching to 480Hz refresh rate at 1920 x 1080 resolution, though based on putting the frame rate boost mode under the microscope. Literally, it's not using a mathematically perfect integer scaling. Feeding the monitor a 480 FPS signal at 480Hz delivered the highest motion clarity and lowest latency it is capable of. The trade-off is that near black gamma becomes elevated, causing shadow detail and to a lesser extent midtones to appear brighter than reference. While this can be partially compensated in SDR by reducing the gamma setting by one step, no equivalent adjustment is available in HDR since the gamma control is disabled. VRR including NVIDIA G-Sync delivers.
Now, I have noticed on the TVs, you change the refresh rate and you look at a test pattern near black and it changes. So that's not a weird thing at all. For example, on my Samsung TVs, when you lower the refresh rate to 60, the near black visibility is better. It changes. So, that just happens. I mean, they should, account for that and calibrate better. I don't know, but it happens. That's not a weird problem. That's actually, it happens.
Smooth gameplay without frame drops or tearing artifacts. As with every OLED monitor we have tested so far, VRR flicker remain unavoidable in a handful of titles, particularly on static menus, although both its frequency and severity were noticeably lower than what we've observed on larger OLED TVs. ASUS also provides an OLED anti-flicker setting that narrows the VRR operating range to reduce flicker, but in practice, the VRR window became so restricted that frame rates frequently fall outside it, resulting in noticeable stuttering, so we did not find the feature particularly useful.
So what is the...
In terms of connectivity, stuttering restricted range to reduce also provides, as we've observed on larger, narrows the VRR operating range to reduce flicker.
To what? Let's see. OLED anti-flicker only supports in limited refresh rate. The following function will be disabled when OLED anti-flicker turn on. ELMB, you cannot use BFI. But what is the... Okay, let's say it says simulate 60 FPS. No, this is just the test. So I would like to know what is the range, basically, because that's very important, actually. When you're playing a horror game, the flickering with VRR is happening depending on the game. That's depending on the game performance. If the game performance is not perfect, then you definitely see the flickering. So different engines are, different for this, different games. Some games you never see flickering, some games you see flickering no matter what, and you have to turn off VRR, unfortunately. So I think this is a great feature. I would like to know what's the range for that.
In practice, the VRR window became so restricted that frame rates frequently fall outside it, resulting in noticeable stuttering, so we did not find the feature particularly useful. In terms of connectivity, the ASUS PG32UCWM is very well spec'd with inbuilt KVM support, providing a DisplayPort 2.1a input with the full USB R20 80 gigabits per second bandwidth, two HDMI ports offering the full 48 gigabits per second HDMI 2.1 and DSC specifications, as well as a USB-C DisplayPort with 90 watt power delivery. In console HDR mode, Max TML and Max FFTML clipped at 450 nits, allowing HDRG compliant HDR games to be displayed without being subjected to double tone mapping. Color reproduction was generally excellent. Out of the box, most SDR picture presets tracked a wider color gamut, making them inaccurate for consuming SDR content mastered in the sRGB or Rec 709 color space.
So you're saying that they change when you go from 120 to more, because 120 is the native refresh rate and 144 or 165 is overclocked. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why that is, but I think they should make sure that the display is calibrated I would go further. They should make sure if you turn on VFI, it's still calibrated. Just calibrate it like near black. See, there's no reason if you just turn on a feature to improve the motion. There's no reason that now you cannot see on the darkness. Because imagine you want to use that feature to play a horror game, and now you turn it on and you can no longer see well. See, they should. I think calibration is a lot more important than what these companies are not calibrating well enough, or maybe not at all. They should care more about that, man. Like, you should not have to see. I'm not talking about perfect, accuracy, but when you see the problems of with these TVs and the monitors, they either crushing blacks badly, or washed out on the whites or something, or the white balance is a mess and looks super blue, like, or it looks like yellow, like it's piss all over the screen. That we should not be getting that, because we're paying $1,000 plus for these displays. I mean, I think that's enough money to to have a decent image. Is 100 hertz 50 fps better than 60 hertz 60 fps? No, not at all. See, on a sample and hold display, 150 fps 100 hertz looks exactly the same as 50 fps 50 hertz. Exactly the same. The motion is going to be exactly the same. No difference at all. 100 hertz, don't crush black. Oh, you're talking about the. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, definitely. Oh, I see what you're saying. No, but 60 FPS is gonna be better. No, wait a minute. I made a video about 60 FPS, 60 hertz, or 60 FPS, 120 hertz. I don't remember if 60 FPS, 120 hertz was better and why. I don't remember. I have to think about that one again. I don't remember. But I can tell you for sure 60 FPS, 60 hertz is better. But if you have an issue with the calibration, I don't know. But do you have a TV or a monitor? Because if you have a TV, you can fix the near black. If you have a Samsung TV, I can tell you exactly how you can fix the near black. Or LG, I also know how to. It's not that hard. And Samsung is actually hard because you have to go to the service menu, and it's a hidden setting on the service menu that's already kind of hidden, but it can be fixed perfectly. You can get perfect near black, all the visibility you want, without losing the perfect blacks. So let me know what you
The
have.
obvious exception is the sRGB Cal picture mode, which arrived very well calibrated from the factory, yielding an average delta error of just 1.22 on our 140 patch color check.
So basically, now I'm thinking about it. So when you have 60 FPS, 120 hertz, each frame is being double, and that might improve the motion, but I don't remember why. I have to do that test. That's very easy to do. That's a very easy test to do. Just go from 60 hertz to 120 hertz and keep the FPS locked to 60, and just move the camera. You can clearly see the difference. But I can tell you for sure, 50 FPS, 100 hertz is not gonna look better. I can tell you for sure.
SG test, with no inaccuracies exceeding the humanly perceptible threshold of delta error 3. The only downside is that many picture controls are grayed out in the sRGB Cal mode, so if you prefer watching SDR material in a dimly lit room, we would recommend switching to the user picture mode instead, changing display color space to sRGB, then selecting a gamma of 2.4, which produces a more cinematic SDR presentation with greater pop and depth. For HDR,
Now, one thing I have to say, remember, HDTV test is more focused on the TVs and the video content. He's not much of a gamer. in my experience, and based on Reno DX, and what I see that gets changed, and the mods and all that, the games are mostly 2.2. So if you set your gamma to 2.4, it's just gonna look darker. So for gaming, I don't know about that. For gaming, I would 2.2 should be better unless the calibration is a mess. Sometimes the calibration says 2.2, but it's actually, I don't know, it's 2.1 or 2. And then you change to 2.4 and then it's like 2.3 or 2.2. So it depends on the calibration of the display, but um yeah, games are mostly 2.2. So you don't want to use on your TV for gaming. You don't want to use gamma 2.4 or on the monitor. Reno DX has a very, very insignificant performance cost, the HDR part. But now we have Reno DX mods to improve lighting, shadows, reduce popping, So if you go there, then yeah, it can have a big performance penalty. But just the HDR part is not significant. You might lose 2 frames, something like that. It's not a big deal. You can try, you test it. You do a benchmarking, turn it on and off, and then see. HDR in general, it takes a small performance cost. If you do a benchmark on SDR, then you try HDR, you might lose 3 frames, 2, 3 frames. So Reno DX is not losing a lot more from that, basically. You just got an OLED yesterday. Let's go. That's a big difference. Big difference. There's no going back. There's no going back. Now you have to spend a lot of money every time. 60 hertz, 120 hertz, 60 FPS is the same like a special 60 FPS motion mode. Oh, that might be one thing. Yeah, that's right. That was the video. Basically, when you change the display, when you change the TV refresh rate to 120 hertz, you have better input lag. So motion, but I don't remember if there was a difference in the motion too. I have to watch my own video. See, I tested this. It's very easy to test. Lock the FPS to 60, change to 120 hertz, move the camera, see how it feels, look at the motion, then go back to 60 hertz. You can see the difference. I made a video about it. I don't remember my conclusions. Um, the motion clarity should be the same, but I don't remember if it looked different. But the input lag should be better on 120 hertz. That's for sure. Do I recommend the S90D modded? I do the 1200 nits because when I get it to clip at 1500 nits, it looks significantly darker. See, the TV out of the box is gonna look brighter than when you go and you make a clip at 1500, because when you max out the Anapic and you make a clip at 1500, when you change the EOTF tracking settings so it clips at 1500, you're basically squashing down the EOTF tracking, so it's gonna look darker than reference. Yes, you have a higher peak brightness on the highlights, but then the overall HDR brightness goes down. So you need to understand that. That's why Classy, for example, Classy recommended me, if you get the S95F or any of these S95H, whatever, don't just go and max out the Anapic and then go and make a clip and all that, because you might make it worse. Basically, make it darker than out of the box for the most part. Yes, you're gonna get that peak brightness for sure. You're gonna get a higher peak brightness, but if the overall presentation for the most part looks darker, then that's not better. So what he does is that he makes sure it's accurate, and then he might increase the brightness a little bit to get a little bit higher peak brightness. But the thing is, I don't have the instruments. I don't have the expertise. I don't know how to calibrate. So for me, I would just max out the Anapic and then mess with the EOTF tracking settings and then hope for the best. So I'm not that serious about it. But if I had the expertise that he has, I would definitely do a much better job. That's for sure. Um, no, I would not recommend you restore the Anapic. Just keep it max out. You can make a clip at 1000 if you want it a little bit brighter. So you have to understand it's very easy. If you increase the clipping point by changing the EOTF tracking settings, you are making the overall image darker. So the higher the clipping point, the darker you're making the image. Now, ideally, you want that clipping point to be exactly at the maximum peak brightness of the panel. The problem is that you don't have fine tuning of the clipping. So the EOTF tracking settings is just squashing down the whole EOTF tracking, but you don't have fine tuning of the curve. So what's happening is basically with that default squashing down that you have available, yes, the peak is clipping at the actual peak brightness of the TV, but that's basically making the midtones darker than reference. So if we had an additional setting to tweak that better, then you could have, proper, brightness across the whole range. That's why you need a colorimeter, you need all the instruments, you need the expertise, so you can measure the gamma tracking in different window sizes and across the whole range to make sure you find the best compromise, basically. So you want it with HDR, you want it to be as accurate as possible. And it is true that you are not making anything better by just having the highest peak brightness if you have to compromise the brightness of the midtones, which is what you're seeing most of the time. So yes, you want to have a higher peak brightness. That's gonna make it look better, but you don't want to sacrifice the accuracy of the rest. So if you want to be safe, you want to go at least as bright as, just keep the clipping at 1000 and it should be fine. Now you have to understand you will still get a darker than out of the box experience in some cases, because for example, we have ABL. So the brighter, let's say you have a daytime scene and then there are some bright objects on the screen. If you have the Anapic max out on the TV, then those brighter objects are gonna be brighter than out of the box. So because of that brighter peak brightness, then the ABL is more aggressive. So then to get a little bit higher peak brightness that really doesn't make any difference in a daytime scene because you don't have the power for it, because of that undefeatable ABL, if you compare that scene with out of the box looks better because it's pushing less peak brightness and it gives you more. It's actually more accurate, the whole thing. So it's a trade-off. You have to understand what you're doing. Basically, what you're doing is you are trying to get a higher peak brightness, but there's a compromise when you do that because the ABL is going to be more aggressive. So really, it would be better to have 600 nits. Well, already we have 600 nits. Let's say it would be definitely better to have 1000 nits, no ABL, than to have 4000 nits and then a peak brightness of full screen of 400 or 450. See, you would have in some examples the 4000 nits peak brightness with less full screen. It's gonna be looking better. It's gonna have more impact. But you're not gonna have the consistency of no ABL 1000, but it's all a trade-off. It's depending on what you're looking for. It's depending on what you're looking for. You can copy my settings, see how that looks. I'm very happy with it. I've never since I changed the settings and I shared the settings. I've never touched the settings again. I think that looks perfect. Now, if I had an instrument and I knew better, I could do an even better job. Using reshade Lily on top mapping, it is possible to adjust all this, right? Yeah, but there is a big difference between adjusting the source and adjusting the display settings. See, when it comes to display settings, you want as accurate as possible for HDR. If you have a display as accurate as possible, then if the source is amazing and beautiful, then that's what you're gonna see. So you can mess with the source all you want, but with the display, you want to make sure it's as accurate, as good as you can get it. So what I'm saying right now is, you have seen me that I have shared settings, I have messed with all the TV options and all of that. But I'm telling you, one day Classy comes with his equipment, his expertise, and he is going to get a much better result than what I am getting. No question about that. It doesn't matter how much I play with the settings up and down. I don't have the equipment, I don't have the expertise. But you don't have it either. So if you don't have the $20,000 colorimeter or something like that, use test patterns. Use the things that I have shared. Use test patterns, and then try your best. Try to make sure near black you can see all the detail. Try to make sure that the clipping is solid, is where it should be, based on the display peak brightness and all that. So my advice is sound, but it's limited by my knowledge and by the equipment I have.
DCI-P3 color gamut coverage measured almost 99.5% in UV terms, while Rec 1020 coverage approached 80%, backed by a spectral power distribution that manifested more distinct red, green, and blue peaks than previous WOLED panels equipped with more distinct red.
This is the color gamut. This is not far from QDOLED monitors, because QDOLED monitors, he has shown like 84%, I think it is. So it's like not, I mean, I think this might be a good compromise. Not as good as QDOLED colors, but you have a better screen coating, so
80%, backed by a spectral power distribution that manifested more distinct red, green, and blue peaks than previous WOLED panels equipped with a white subpixel.
I like that.
Combined with the high color luminance we discussed earlier, white color gamut HDR content looked rich, vibrant, and highly impactful. Color volume measured higher than conventional WOLED equipped with white subpixels, though it still fell behind the latest generation of QD-OLEDs, which can go brighter than this first generation RGB striped tandem WOLED panel.
What is that number?
Like many more.
Wait. What is this number? MDC, millions of distinguishable colors. Okay. I see TCP color volume. Oh, color volume. Yeah, but so let's look at this. Conventional WOLED is like 14, 15, 14.8, 14.6. And QDOLED is like 17.6. So it's like 3. So basically, this is just about the same. But the thing is, the monitors, I think the QDOLED monitors, based on the reviews, they are supposed to have less color saturation. Well, I can tell you for sure, my QDOLED monitor, it's not even close to the saturation of my TV, of my S90D or my S90C QDOLED TV. The TVs look way more saturated. It's not even close.
than this
I
first
mean, it is
generation
close, but I can
RGB
clearly
striped
see the
tandem
difference.
WOLED panel. Like many modern displays we've tested in recent years, colors could still appear somewhat desaturated in very dark scenes. Of course, color accuracy measured at the center of the screen tells only part of the story, because WOLED panels can exhibit slight tint variations across different areas of the image. Bright field uniformity was very good on our review sample, with no obvious banding or dirty screen effect visible on full field gray slides. However, because WOLED remains susceptible to off-axis color shift, the outer edges of the screen could take on a mild tint relative to the center even when viewed head-on, simply because they are being observed from a slightly more oblique angle. In this clip, where the monitor is rotated on a motorized turntable, you can see the tint migrate across the screen as the viewing angle changes. That said, from a normal desktop viewing distance with the PG32UCWM positioned directly in front of us, we did not consider it a deal breaker, since a monitor is rarely viewed from such extreme angles, and any tinting towards the edges of a 31.5-inch display is much less noticeable than on a larger WOLED TV. Dark uniformity was also better than what we've typically witnessed on WOLED televisions, exhibiting no significant vertical streaks or jail bars on near black full field slides, or in challenging low light scenes from real-world HDR content. QD-OLED monitors remain just that bit cleaner in terms of dark uniformity, but the gap has narrowed considerably. One surprise was the presence of some extremely faint horizontal streaks between 5% and 15% video stimulus. Combined with the panel's vertically oriented fine dithering pattern, these could produce a subtle tissue paper texture that was noticeable at close range and occasionally revealed itself on websites using dark mode. We
Well,
did not find it
that's one of those things that might be for me like, oh my god. See, that's one of those things that you see on the review and you are like, okay. But then when you take it home and you start seeing that problem, you're like, oh my god, this thing looks like if you printed in a toilet paper. You printed a photo in a toilet paper. I don't know about that one. See, if I want to see that in front of me, because that might be such a deal breaker. And he's like, yeah, it just has this issue here. I don't know. You think that this new WOLED seems to be a fail? I don't know, man. No, the price, no, for sure. I mean, you buy a TV all day over this. I mean, the only reason to buy a monitor is to have the 240 hertz. But next year, if we get 240 hertz TVs, all these monitors are irrelevant. Like, no one should buy them. Like, it's just the TVs are so much better. You get a much bigger display for the money, especially if you wait Black Friday. Every single year, the 55-inch Samsung QD OLED goes down to $800. Brand new. Brand new. $800 for a 55-inch. There's none of these monitors come even close to that. So they are terrible value. I think that's the reason why they don't unleash the TVs refresh rate, because it's making basically the entire monitor industry completely irrelevant. In the TV, you have more settings to calibrate. You have the apps. It's a TV. You have audio, and sometimes good audio on the TV. It's like, my God, why would anyone buy a monitor if that was the case? So yeah, definitely. Let's see. They did make color banding overshoot better, because that's my main issue with WOLED. Overshoot better. I don't know how that looked like. Oh, the no, he mentioned that was still a problem. See, the defects that we have today, they're still there. The question is how less bad it is. They seem to behave way more like QDOLEDs. They even have the panel dimming issues, but worse brightness, worse color volume, worse uniformity than even third gen QDOLEDs. Yeah, QDOLED is still gonna be better. The question is this monitor close enough? Is this new um, WOLED close enough to QDOLED, but now you have the better, more black screen coating, so you can use it on your your bedroom, daylight, sun coming out. I don't know. I don't know. I would still have recommend blackout curtains and just turn off the lights and get a QD OLED. Does it also have the gamma shifting at lower frame rates as well? Um, well, he mentioned that the the gamma is different with a different refresh rate, and he mentioned that there's VRR flickering, but it has a VRR flickering feature to eliminate the flickering, but it has a range. So he said that the range was too small to be useful, but he didn't say from this many FPS to this many FPS you have to stay there for that VRR flickering to work. It's a VRR flickering killer technology that could save the day, but I would like to know what's the range. I nabbed the third gen 32-inch 165 QD OLED for $370. I mean, that's good. Euros. So I'm happy enough for now. Yeah, for sure. Overshoot in SDR horror content is so bad. Yeah.
Particularly distracting, but it's worth mentioning that it was present on our review unit. Native temp gradation was generally very good, judging by this rotating quantization test pattern from the Spears and Mansell UHD HDR benchmark disk, the grayscale ramp from the Display HDR app, as well as challenging skies in The Martian. Towards black, posterization did become slightly more apparent, occasionally manifesting as a subtle rippling effect during fade to black or fade in from black transitions. Design-wise, the true black glossy screen coating on the ASUS ROG Swift PG32 UCWM is beautiful. There's no haziness, no grain, imparting outstanding sharpness and clarity to the image.
Exactly.
Yes, you can see more reflections than on a matte.
Now why? See, why we talk about outstanding clarity thanks to the glossy, and then we cannot say when we have a review of a matte TV, why we can't say they ruined the outstanding clarity. Why are we okay when we review a matte finish TV or monitor, and we talk about any advantages or whatever? No, let's say it for what it is. They ruined it. He's just saying it right there. They ruined it. I wish every single reviewer, every time they review anything matte, would be like, they just ruined this thing. Forget about the review. I'll tell you more. Let's leave it there. This is garbage. They just destroying the best displays in the world with a matte finish. Look at this. You're gonna tell me you prefer to look at this on the right? It looks like an office monitor. Why would anyone prefer to have a display looking like that? It's just absurd. They just keep ruining displays with that matte garbage. The FOMO bought a 55-inch S90F because cheap QDOLEDs won't exist anymore. I mean, the S90F this year was definitely the best deal. The 65-inch was discounted to $1,300. That's a killer deal, and it could go even lower on Black Friday. That was definitely the TV to buy. And I know that TV capabilities because I had an S95C. So the S90F is basically a little bit better brightness than the S95C. So I'm telling you, that's an amazing That's gonna be an amazing display. Yeah, and yeah, look at this. Of course, we have the phones. I mean, I have an S23 Ultra. It was still glossy. Samsung, it just keeps ruining it. The S24, they started with a messing with the anti-glare 2025, worse 2026, absolutely horrendous. Now they have 2 layers of pixels to have a feature that nobody uses, which is basically you have an additional layer of pixels to so you cannot see the screen when you're looking at it on an angle. So it's like a privacy feature that you turn on, and because of that, they reduce the brightness, they affect the viewing angles, and now it looks like a green, milky, black level rays mess. I mean, Samsung. I don't know who is responsible for all that. Basically, the matte finish and all these problems. But fire that guy, please. Just get rid of it. Let's go back to basics because glossy is so much better. He picked up Sony's matte on the. Oh, he did. He. Oh no, I think no, I think I remember watching that review. He said it was the best matte ever. He liked it. I was tempted on the 65-inch S85F QD, but my room's small. I don't know about that one, but if it was QDOLED, maybe. But the performance, maybe it was not even close. The brightness might not be the same, but who knows? I don't know the brightness numbers of that. So let's check this out.
Screen. But because they are in a different focal plane to the image itself, they actually enhance the perceived sense of depth. Furthermore, unlike QD-OLED, the blacks don't turn as gray when hit by direct ambient light, maintaining high ambient contrast in a
Yeah, look at that. That's my monitor right there. That's the monitor I'm using right now, like literally.
bright room. As you can probably tell by now, I'm a big fan of this wet, glossy look. Even though the picture quality from the front is the main bread and butter of any monitor, we have to say the rear of the PG32UCWM oozes quality too,
Oh wow!
with the transparent shell
Woo!
revealing some of the monitor's internal components
That looks
being
good.
a stylish
I like
touch.
that.
There's also RGB lighting behind the ROG logo, the effect of which can be customized in a user.
Man, I need to contact Asus, man. See if they send me something. You know, I really like the fanciness of the ROG brand. Like they just try to make it beautiful. I love that. So we need to get a contact from Asus.
the menu, although we couldn't help but feel that not illuminating the transparent section itself
that,
was a
man.
missed
Woo!
opportunity. The claw stand,
That
which
looks
has
like a
become
high-end
something of a
motherboard on the
signature for
back.
Asus,
Looks like a high-end motherboard. Look at that. For those who dare. Republic of Gamers. Look at that. Transparent. That looks beautiful. What is this? There's 3 things here. I like it a lot. Look at the RGB on the back.
opportunity. The claw stand, which has become something of a signature for Asus ROG Swift gaming monitors, provides solid stability but occupies a fair
you
amount
think
of
that? Yeah, they said they do have the power supply inside. Do you think that would improve the like you have less heat and then it could get brighter? I think in any case, all these monitors are being nerfed badly. Badly. They could be so much brighter. They for some reason, I think all these companies they are in talk with each other, or maybe the panels are coming from the same place and they are restricted and there's nothing these companies can do about. It's like MSI is trying to do this color EOTF boost setting with the firmware updates and all of that, and they explained that basically they were trying to do the best they could to fix the calibration, the gamma tracking when you use the 1000 nits mode. So but they are limited because the panel itself is locked. It's like that. I don't know why. I think they are afraid of people using, of course, a monitor for Windows and then getting burning, because people usually they don't hide the taskbar. They like to have a wallpaper. They use the same apps, and these companies are afraid that you're gonna get burning. Um, but I'm like, man, I wish there was an option where basically you have to agree with, you're about to unleash all the brightness capabilities of your monitor. If you agree with this, your burning warranty, your 3 years burning warranty is gone. Are you sure? Yes. One more time. Do you want to do it? Absolutely. Yes, let me do it. I will take care of it, because I know how to take care of my display so it doesn't have burning. Why? Well, I've been using plasma TVs. Plasma TVs are a lot worse. They get image retention immediately. So I know how to take care of it. Just hide the taskbar. Don't use any wallpaper. Just a black background. And that's it. Just enjoy your games. Um, they can be brighter, but the burning resistance a monitor needs to be able to cover. Yeah, that's the problem. The 3-year warranty. Just get rid of it. Get rid of the 3-year warranty. I don't care about that. Just take care of it yourself. And even with all of that, and also I hate the monitor companies that don't give you the option to turn off some of the anti-burning features, because I want to turn them off. I don't want my screen to be moving or dimming or none of that on top of ABL. So Apple is telling LG to use 5 layers in the WOLED for their OLED iMac. Yeah, but Apple, for me, it's irrelevant. Apple is like the worst. I don't want to have anything to do with Apple. I'm sorry. Still have my all 50-inch Panasonic. That's what's up. It has had the League of Legends map burning to it forever.
Desk space. We suspect many users would actually prefer the more compact footprint of the ROG Strix stand. ASUS has implemented a comprehensive suite of anti-screen burn measures, including various auto-dimming controls, pixel cleaning compensation cycles, pixel shifting, and logo luminance adjustment. Similar to most OLED monitors with pixel shifting and logo auto-dimming control, a comprehensive suite of anti-screen burn measures.
Okay, let's see. See, you can turn off a screen dimming control, outer dimming control, global dimming. Okay, I like that.
Including various auto-dimming controls, pixel cleaning compensation.
Okay, you can turn it off.
Cycles, pixel.
Oh, see, this is not good. This is not good. Why? See, the screen move thing is very annoying. Why you don't let me turn that off? There's no option to turn it off. It's either strong, middle, or light, but you cannot turn it off. I don't like that. Let me turn it off. Let me turn it off. Give me the option.
Shifting and logo luminance adjustment.
This is good. There's logo detection. You can turn it off.
Similar to most OLED monitors we've tested so far, there's also a small amount of pixel over provisioning beyond the native 3840x2160 resolution, meaning pixel shifting never causes even the slightest amount of picture cropping around the edges. ASUS also backs the PG32 UCWM with a 3-year warranty that covers OLED burn-in. In addition, the company has refined its Neo proximity sensor technology, which automatically turns off the screen when no one is detected nearby. The detection distance, activation delay, and motion sensitivity can all be customized in the user menu. From our testing, it worked much more reliably than previous implementations, making it a genuinely useful protective measure for anyone who regularly steps away from their desk. Let's sum up. The ASUS ROG Swift PG32 UCWM demonstrates that removing the dedicated white subpixel is a meaningful step forward for WOLED technology. The new RGB stripe subpixel layout delivers improved text clarity and higher color luminance free from white subpixel dilution, and it may also be responsible for making this one of the most image retention resistant WOLED display we have tested to date. Add OLED's traditional strengths of absolute blacks, wide viewing angles, and near instantaneous pixel response time, not to mention the high-quality, glossy anti-reflective coating which enhances the perceived sense of depth while maintaining strong ambient contrast, and the result is an impressive monitor for both gaming and desktop productivity. And so the ASUS PG32UCWM receives our recommended award. Of course, no monitor is perfect. Removing the wide subpixel
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't remember last time I saw a video where he did not recommend it. He always recommends it.
also means lower peak luminance, although this is compensated to a certain degree by the HK effect.
See, look at this. This is a summary. This is a perfect summary. Look at the difference. It's just the peak brightness. So you have the white subpixel. I don't know. This is the 1000 nits. I don't know. Never mind. This is just the different 400 nits more than the 1000 nits.
Although this is compensated to a certain degree by the HK effect, such that colorful HDR content rarely looked dimmer than conventional WOLED panels that measure brighter on paper. Likewise, the move to an RGB striped subpixel structure doesn't appear to have eliminated the color uniformity and off-axis tinting characteristics we've come to associate with WOLED technology. Now, you may be wondering how this new RGB striped tandem WOLED stacks up against QDOLED, in which case you might want to check out my full review of an ASUS ROG QDOLED gaming monitor by clicking here.
Okay, so basically, I'll give you my summary. It's exactly the same. A little bit better color saturation. Definitely, you are not gonna suffer the washed out colors with brightness because you don't have the white subpixel, but you still have the same issues near black, the same kind of defects. It's not gonna have the color saturation of QDOLED. But do I agree this is a step in the right direction? I would like to see it in front of me, but the brightness is going down. So basically, it's like text clarity is better, but it's like you have a regular WRGB OLED with a brightness reduction. I don't. I'm not sold on it yet. But I think definitely we have to get rid of the white subpixel. But it's still using the same white OLED with a color filter. So the colors are not gonna be as good as QD OLED. But yeah, I can see one step forward and two step backs. Yeah, it's definitely not all better. And the thing is, we are expecting things to always be better. And I mean, that's how technology is supposed to go. But with displays, no. His screen is bent. You mean the monitor he showed? If there's no white pixel, 1 hour should be gone. No, actually, he said, well, we've been saying for the longest time that the issue with the near black issues was because of the white subpixel, but it's still there. So he was like, well, we still have those problems, so maybe it was not the white subpixel at all. So, yep. We still have some of those problems. So it was not the white subpixel. So and green tint, he said, yeah, you still have the same off axis. So you still have the change in the white. So he showed a full screen white and he moved to the axis and then the color changes. So you still have that issue. It's basically the same without the white subpixel, which is basically just reducing the brightness, but you have a better text clarity. So I think from this review, better text clarity and my microscopic improvement on the color saturation and the same issues as before. So definitely not a home run. Hi, how's it going, Dirt Carry? Pioneer Core is better. Yeah. How are you doing, man? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing good over there. I know things are heating up. Hopefully you're doing good. Uh Check out the display guide review. He shows the green tint well. Okay, we'll check it out another day. I have to go to sleep. I have to go to sleep already because tomorrow I want to go to the beach. So I have to do my work now so I can ask for the day off tomorrow and go to the beach. Yeah, QDOLED is still better. There's no reason to buy anything that's not QDOLED really. The only reason, bright room, if you like the screen coating better, this is gonna look better, more black. Other than that, I think is not. But the thing is, the QDOLED also improved with that. I want to see that new QDOLED coating. I asked MSI to send me that monitor, but I haven't. No answer. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get one of those new, more black QD OLED monitors. That's what I wanted to try. The 34-inch, 3440 by 1440, 360 hertz. But next year we're gonna have 4K. Next year we're gonna have 4K, 360 hertz, QD OLED next year. So I like it. 32-inch, 4K, 360 hertz. With a more black panel now, brighter too. That's gonna be good. So I think it's definitely worth waiting next year because maybe the TVs are gonna be 240. So if you get a 240 hertz monitor right now, you're screwed basically because why? You better just buy a TV. But if you get a 360, then you're good because now at 360 the TV is getting up to 360 hertz. Maybe in I don't know 5 years. Yeah, 360 is really, really good. I absolutely love that. The thing is, to get 360 FPS, not easy. But there is a difference from 240. 240 is like the sweet spot, But when you get up to 360, that's so much better. Well, let's see what happens. I thank you very much for stopping by. I will try to find some time to play some games, maybe make a video for the channel. I do have some controller videos in the pipeline. I know most of the people following the channel, they are not coming from the controller reviews. This is something new that I started to do because I really got into it. And I have 3 controllers that I want to compare. I want to give you my take. What is the best 8K controller? Make a video with this, this is the latest one, the 8K ECS MX Dune 8K, the Machinike F1 8K, and the GameSir G7 Pro 8K. I want to make a video comparing these 3 controllers, and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. So I've got into controllers because my DualSense broke, and now I am a big fan of fancy controllers. So I'll make a video about that, and I'll play some games to see if we can. Yeah, my guitar channel is Aerial Guitar. Let me find the. What is the? I'll give you. I'll link the channel here. Let's see. I'm gonna give you a link to the most viewed video. Let's see. This is my most popular video. We have 60,000 views. Look at that. 60,000 views we got on this video. And I have improved a lot since. But you know how YouTube goes. So that's the video that exploded the channel. We have 3,000 on the guitar channel. We already have 3,160 subscribers. So guitar channel is doing good, and I am improving. I'm improving. You wanna see some? Look, I'll show you a short. If you do it super fast, it doesn't really matter. Why is this? Okay, look at this. I'll show you a shredding. I'll show you a shredding video from me. Very short. It's just some seconds. So this is what I have been doing for the past, I don't know, 1 month. 1 year. This is what I have been doing. Look at this. If you do it super fast, it doesn't really matter the tone. That's why for this scale, I would just fast. Just like that. Just like that. If you do it super fast. So that's what I've been doing, just trying to smash the guitar, you know, brutally. No mercy. So yeah, let's leave it there. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you